David Ornstein has confirmed it is highly possible that Alejandro Garnacho leaves Manchester United this summer if the right bid comes in. And in this video, I want to discuss the harsh reality about Garnacho's future, one that maybe not all United fans would agree with, but it's the truth. When it comes to this summer for Manchester United, it really is, I think, going to be the biggest one that we've had in a decade. I know we say that every summer, but you've seen the start of it. And a big part of it is going to be sales. I'm not just talking about Rashford or Anthony or Sancho or Malacia. Maybe Garnacho. I want to speak about it off the back of David Ornstein's comments in his latest Q&A and just, I think, an overall discussion that should be had. You let me know in the comments, right? Do you think United should sell Garnacho this summer? Because we will be selling players, and if we do, it would be, I think, the biggest example of being ruthless decision-wise that I think we would have done. Let's have a quick rewind, right? When it comes to Garnacho and how he's sort of emerged and broken through into this team, obviously won the FA Youth Cup and then broke into Ten Hag's team. And to the point in his second season where I think he played 38 consecutive games. And in a season where we had nothing, it was Garnacho who was a bit of a bright spark. And he became one of our main men. Then you fast forward to Ruben Amorim. And under Ruben Amorim, I was concerned about Garnacho before he kicked the ball. And those concerns were sort of justified because he didn't really fit the system. And then, of course, he was dropped against City, just like Rashford was. From that point on, Rashford was shown the door. From that point on, Garnacho, to his credit, put his head down. He started grafting. He was working better defensively. Amorim kept praising him. Unfortunately for Garnacho, the output just wasn't there. Right? The output was not there. That goal that he scored, I think, against Leicester was his first in like 20-ish games. Like him and Haaland were on stinky streaks, both of them. And Garnacho's output just hasn't been there all season. And then the conversations have existed. This was at the time where all the cuts were happening and about player sales. And I think it might have started from an article in The Guardian saying that United are willing to sell academy prospects. And of course, I hope this is a loophole that is closed, but if you sell an academy prospect, a player, it's basically a double sale because it's 100% profit. You don't have to amortize anything. And it's a big, huge bumper bit of money for the accounts that year. Hence why conversations around Manu and Garnacho existed. And of course, after Napoli sold Kvaratskhelia to PSG, they came sniffing for Garnacho in January. United said no. They didn't offer enough for Garnacho. I think they were trying to get him for a low ball. I don't know what the low ball was. Was it somewhere between 30 and 40 million? Either way, United pushed Napoli away. If they come back in this summer, what do you think the price would be? Don't know. Anyway, the latest from David Ornstein was from this Q&A. He was asked whether there's any links to Garnacho leaving, and he said, "We understand that this is to be highly possible if proposal is deemed to be suitable by United and Garnacho himself." And that's the situation we find ourselves in now. All right? I don't think Amorim is chasing Garnacho out the door. If you look at how the two sort of paths that have happened since being dropped against City, Rashford and Garnacho. Rashford never kicked a ball again. Rashford now plays for Villa. Rashford won't play for United again. Garnacho has been starting most games, and I think the graft is there, the attitude is there, but the output just isn't matching. The output isn't increasing. And I think United will be looking at Garnacho this summer, and look, Napoli is the obvious candidate. If Napoli come back in for him, they need to replace Kvaratskhelia, and Garnacho, he's only 20. It is hard to remember that as a United fan. Given how much of Garnacho's we've watched so far, he's only 20. And there's going to be some United fans who are, I suppose, afraid about... No, they're not afraid about Amorim selling him, but I suppose they're afraid about... I don't want to sit there and watch Garnacho become a world-class player not in a United shirt. I don't want to deal with that. And this is where the ruthlessness comes in. And that's why I've got the photo of Amorim up. Because you all know our finances. You know how bad they are. And unfortunately, we'll be talking about our finances until they aren't a problem. Realistically, that's a couple of years away. But truth be told, we're about to try and fund a new stadium. So we're talking about financial problems now. How about we build a £2 billion stadium? And then you look at the finance. I don't really think financial problems are going to go away for a long time. And this is the Glazers' way of running our football club into the ground, coming home to roost. And until they close that loophole of academy players counting effectively as a double win on the books, clubs like United will definitely be considering selling more academy players. Look, City have done it for years. Chelsea have done it for years. I think this is the summer where United start doing it. And Garnacho, for me, is probably, I think, going to be the biggest sale that we make this summer. Price-wise, I spoke to you all in the live show about this. I think that United should be able to get 50 to 60 million for Garnacho. Would I be upset if he leaves? Yeah, man. Remember watching him break through in that FA Youth Cup winning team. In an ideal world, I don't ever want to sell an academy player that good. But I look at Garnacho and I see a player who doesn't quite fit what Amorim wants. But more than that, I'm not just buying and selling players according to what manager we've got in charge. I just think the underlying characteristics of all the players that Amorim is trying to build into this team, I think Garnacho is missing a couple. I think because of the way that he broke through and became a first-team player and was starting every week, I'm not saying that he's got a sense of entitlement, but I think he's got a sense that he's more developed than he is. That he's more indispensable than he is. And I think that kind of comes across sometimes in how he plays. The thing is about Garnacho, and that's why that photo of him in a Napoli shirt is important. The thing about selling players like him, who have got his whole career ahead of him, and United fans are going to have to accept that we're going to have to watch him probably be successful elsewhere. That only matters if United aren't successful. Because if we're successful, I don't give a toss what happens at other clubs. I really, really don't. It's noise. It's out. It's white noise. It's irrelevant. If United is still awful and we're seeing Garnacho banging in 20, 30 goals and winning the Scudetto with Napoli, then it's going to sting. And it will sting a lot of United fans, the idea that we are selling an academy prospect of the talent of Garnacho. But talent isn't enough as a United player. We know that, and we've seen so many examples of it. So it just strikes me that I would say the harsh reality of Garnacho, and the truth is that I don't think United are being forced to sell Garnacho, but I think in the grand scheme of this roadmap with Amorim, I think they're choosing that not Mainu, sod that, Mainu's going nowhere, but they're choosing that selling Garnacho would be the right thing to bring that money in to then reinvest into an area or a player that Amorim wants. And that we're just going to have to deal with the fact that Garnacho isn't a United player anymore. Hey, look, Garnacho might stay, but I'm just giving you my own honest opinion on it and why I think he will be sold this summer if the right price doesn't come in. He goes nowhere. We're not flogging Garnacho. We're not pushing him out the door. But if the right price is paid, I think Garnacho leaves and funds part of the rebuild this summer. You can let me know what you think in the comments below, as you always do.